I believe we are recording. Go
I
ahead.
think we are.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm going to call the meeting to order, the Board of Trustees at 6:02. And again, like prior, we are holding the meeting via Zoom tonight due to building restrictions. And as things do change, then we will make different accommodations. So glad you're all here tonight, and we'll go ahead and, Tammy, go ahead and do the roll call, please.
Mr. Sherwood,
Here?
Mr. Gross,
Here.
Mr. Cadwallader,
Here.
Mrs. Cole,
Here.
Mrs. Hanks,
Here.
Mrs. Humphrey,
Here.
and Mr. Laswell is a no-go.
All right. Well, we'll move along to public participation. Gina, did you have anybody email or
I did
contact
not
you?
receive any emails, and it does not look like we have any public logged in.
Okay. Move on to issue review. See if we have any modifications to the presented agenda. Okay. We'll move on to agenda approval of minutes, June 9th, 2020, and approval of bills. Any motion? Second. Okay. Any discussion about the bills and minutes? Okay. All right. Here none. We'll roll call.
Mr. Sherwood,
Yes.
Mr. Gross,
Yes.
Mr. Cadwallader,
Yes.
Mrs. Cole,
Yes.
Mrs. Hanks,
Yes.
and Mrs. Humphrey.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carried. And we'll move along to
Alan, you muted yourself by accident, I believe.
oh,
Yeah,
how's that?
there you go.
Better.
The last we
Okay.
heard was moving along to.
Okay. The treasurer's report with Ron.
I have nothing to add over what's in the packet. Tammy, anything you want to mention real quick?
Nope,
The
Nope, okay.
transfer.
So we're good.
we talked about it last month.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
All right. Thanks a lot, Ron. We'll move along to Gina and the director's report.
My report was in your packet, per usual. It was a little bit long. I hope you enjoyed it. I wanted to let you know, as far as attendance right now, we are still averaging about 7 people at a time in the building, and we're averaging about 20 people per hour that were open, coming and going. Mondays are the busiest. That's Happy Library Day, apparently. I will mention, because it's kind of been a topic of discussion, that overall, we've given away some masks, but not to the amount that maybe I had anticipated, which is great. People are coming prepared, at least bringing them with them. Because our mask wearing policies are pretty to the point, for health and safety reasons, we take them very seriously and enforce them, which may be different than other organizations, businesses, things like that. We remind them at the door. We have signage, and if we see people with them not wearing them properly, we do address it. On average, we have to address that at least about once or twice an hour with folks, which is getting kind of fatiguing, as you can imagine. But that being said, you know, we are doing it for the health and safety of everyone, and I think it catches people off guard, because so many other places they're required, but then they can kind of do as they see fit once they're inside. But we are enforcing them. So that is kind of, it's fatiguing. It's wearing on the staff a little. I do know that they know the importance of why we're doing it, and they are most definitely doing it. I don't bring it up to say that they aren't doing the job. It's just, if those that wear them would jump on board and wear them properly, life would be better.
Gina, is it repeat offenders?
I have not necessarily been told that it's the same people over and over. A lot of people, there are a lot of opinions about mask wearing out in the world. And so some, when reminded, kind of choose to leave. And that is obviously their choice. And that's, if they're not going to follow the policy, ultimately they're going to have to leave anyway. But I don't necessarily know that I have been informed that someone that we have addressed with before comes in daily and we have to remind them daily or something like that. That's not a situation that's been brought to my attention. Is that kind of what you meant, Colleen?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
hoping it was. I was hoping it was. And
Yeah.
It's on the door, right? And on our website and.
On all of our communications, when people call about coming to the library, we remind them it's at the door. We have someone at the door telling them as they come in. We thank them for wearing their mask. We remind them that they need to keep it over their nose and mouth the whole time. Usually it seems to be when they get upstairs, then that's when they start to get a little more lax about it. And so it's the staff upstairs that are really kind of having to do the most reminders. The children's department, they have had to do it some, but not to the point where it's become a thing per se, you know. They do, I mean, the staff does have, you know, it is part of our code of conduct. We'll remind you, but then if you don't follow the reminders, then we'll be asking you to leave. I don't believe we've had to tell anyone to leave yet. It has usually come down to they decide to leave because they don't particularly like the code of conduct to follow that. So, but they all do know that they have our backing to enforce those policies, and that, you know, not following the code of conduct means you don't get to stay in the library. So.
Okay, thank you. I hope it improves.
I hope so too. I think people are caught off guard because there are mask, you know, quote unquote mask requirements at a lot of places, but enforcement is not.
Yeah.
You know, they're not actually required to follow the requirements at other places, but we feel pretty strongly that needs to be the case here at the library.
I support you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Colleen, at least I'm sure others, that you require them, like a lot of retail places that I go and other people frequent. Once you make it through the front door, people just lax is the new norm for masks. And I'm glad you're following through with that. So total protection.
Were there any other questions about my director's report as it is?
Please remind us next month if we're to read chapters 1 and 2.
I will put it in next month's report as well. Yes.
Okay, that'll be good. And I appreciated the review of going fine-free, and you know what the statistics kind of show, or what the anecdotes show. It's been a while since I've read those articles, so I really appreciated that recap.
Well, I needed that recap for myself as well. It has been. There's been a lot that's happened between the last time we had that conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
And we can discuss that in just a second. Part of my director's report was the notation of the secretary's audit. I have kind of pre-vetted a few people. Gary and Ellen have kind of agreed to do it. Both of them would qualify because they're not currently and were never the secretary of the minutes being reviewed, but those would need to be appointed specifically by Alan. If you want to go ahead and do that.
Sure, I would, Gary and Ellen, I would like to appoint you both to be able to examine the minutes that from the past year, and would like you to go ahead and do so at your convenience.
Are you still willing to?
Are you willing to?
I've already done it.
All right. All right.
Thank you. So I will arrange with Ellen and Gary this week to come in and look at the actual board binder and have them sign off on the paper that is the secretary's audit. If there are no other questions about my discussion or my director's report, we can move on if you would like.
Okay, well, we'll move along to the communication correspondence and library statistics.
Statistics were in your packet per usual. Again, they're very difficult to compare to other years at this point. We had just, and I don't know if I brought this up before, we kind of, when we do the annual report review, and I give you the charts and everything, we kind of roll on a 5-month rolling basis. And we had just gotten to the point where we didn't have like the library closure and the move in there. And we were comparing like 5 solid years. And now we have another year that's going to have a big old like asterisk as far as like, why are these numbers weird? I also see on here, I need to update the chart. There was also a communication from the Community Foundation in there that was, while it was addressed to me, I believe it wasn't addressed to me as a board member of that foundation, but rather to the library in relation to their past donations. So I wanted to include that in there. That committee is still going strong, and if you haven't filled out, there was a community survey related to that. The library has shared it a couple times on their Facebook, and it's available on our webpage, but please do fill out that survey as well as we get more community input into that property.
Is she referring to the donation we made with regard to the reading garden?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that was still kind of considered part of this overall. Our donation was used specifically for that reading garden portion, but as a donor to the project as a whole, that's why you were included there. For those that weren't on the board at the time, and I'm trying to think back. Ron, were you on the board at that time? You were? Yeah, okay. Ellen was. As part of the Community Foundation's work for the Reading Garden out there, the library did participate financially in that. However, in the spirit of that whole property there, the library only had used gift monies that it had received, not any tax dollars, to make that participation. So. That's all I have on that.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And I guess we can move along to our discussion item of fine-free conversion.
In your packet, I did put some discussion notes related to the fine-free conversation that we started several months ago, probably December, no, not December, we don't have a meeting in December, January. Maybe started last fall, a little more in January and February without going back and looking exactly. But I did kind of put a recap of where we had left off. In your director's report, the Fine Free Committee and I did meet again because it kind of had been so long and a lot of things have happened since then, to discuss if we were still on the same page as far as the details, if we wanted to, or how we would move forward to convert to what's considered a fine-free library. And I was hoping to have another discussion tonight just to get the board's feelings about that, if that's still something that they wish to pursue, and if they had comments about specifically the details that came out of the Fine Free Committee as far as reminders and blocks and things like that.
Well, I guess I was trying to understand if on the fine free, you would give them a courtesy notice prior to their due date, and then like on a book that's got a 21-day checkout, if it's 7 days late, you would give them another final courtesy reminder. And then if on the 30th day, there's a card block, is that my understanding, that you would just block their card and they couldn't take out any more books after it's out 30 days?
So you have, that's about half correct. So for an item that has a 21-day checkout, like a book, all of our books have 21-day checkouts. Obviously they get notice of the due date when they check out. That's the official, like, here's when you should bring this back. 2 days before, they get a courtesy notice saying, just a heads up, you have items due in 2 days. 2 days after the due date, they get their first, what's kind of considered their first overdue notice. So in this case, when that book is 7 days late, they get their final notice, their final overdue notice of, you now have had this item a week late. At that point, 7 days after that, so it would be 14 days after the book is due, is when that item would, quote, go to bill. What go to bill basically means you've had this for 2 weeks late. At this point, we're saying we're billing you for the book, and it blocks their card. Now, the actions at that point are, if they return the item, we check it in, they're not fined, the bill goes away. Or if they've lost it, or for sure lost it, the dog ate it, like literally the dog ate it, not as an excuse, but they have a chewed up book, they can pay the bill. And then so either the item is returned and their card is reinstated, or they pay the bill and the card is reinstated. They basically have 2 days or not 2 days, excuse me, 2 weeks from that bill to kind of take those actions. Now, once the item is 30 days late, that's when it kind of goes into what we consider our collection service. So at that point, those items and those accounts are automatically referred to Unique, which is the company that handles our collection service. We are charged a fee for that, and we pass that fee on to the patron. So if they let it go a whole 30 days late without returning it or taking care of the bill, or in all honesty, contacting us and at least letting us know what's up or what the plan is, it goes into that service. Now, that service then kind of picks up the reminders from there for us. But because we are charged that fee and they are then taking that work over for the library, that fee is passed on to the patron. So even at that point, if they let it go that whole full 30 days, if they were to bring that back to us at 45 days, they're not going to get charged an overdue fine on that book. They're not going to get charged to pay for that book, but they do have to pay that collection fee. That is something that we've already paid out.
Okay, that would be the $10 fee, correct?
That's the $10 fee, and that is not an item fee. That is an account fee. So whether they have one item or 6 items, or if
It's
they
the same. Okay.
Right. If it went from if they checked out like DVDs and books at the same time, the DVDs obviously, because they only have a 7-day checkout, that process moves 14 days faster than a book.
Right. Yeah.
But it's not like when the book comes due, they've got another $10 collection fee. The only time they can have another $10 collection fee is if they clear themselves all the way out, like they take care of it all, they're back to normal, and then they start the process over again and end up back there.
Right, with another book, yeah. Okay, that's, now I understand it better, so. Yeah.
And that fee remains, even as we work with people on their accounts now, and we discuss different payment plans or exceptions or exemptions or something like that, when we work with people on their accounts to best come to a solution that helps them use the library again. Collection fees are not one that are normally negotiable. I think Nick and I were talking the other day, and we can think of like 3 times that we've like turned over the collection fee as a library expense versus not. So because at that point, if they've gotten the bill and they contact us, we can take some actions to keep them out of that portion if they've at least contacted us about whatever the reason is they can't bring it back.
Right,
So,
yeah.
Other questions?
Well, it seems
Sorry.
totally reasonable to me. And if I remember correctly, you were talking about what we take in terms of dollar amounts for fines, and it's less than 1% of our budget. So seems like a good policy to me.
Okay. Ellen had a question too. I saw her hand raised. Oh, Gary.
Yeah, when they get that notice of bill/card block, does it make it clear to them that your options are either return it or?
We can have those phrased however we want. And that is why I definitely want to make sure that when we have that bill, that we give them the heads up that it would, like, on day 30 is when this collection fee comes into play. And most of those notices say, please contact the library, you know, with questions or to discuss this or something along the lines of that. But we definitely want to kind of put that heads up on there of what the fee will be at day 30 overdue, even if they do return it at that point. Gary?
The automatic system that sends emails out and everything, is that it can handle all the new, do you need new software to do this?
No, all of this will be handled through our current system, through the RSA workflows, Cersei Dynex system that we currently have. There are several libraries who have already done this, and the RSA staff are becoming more and more in tune as to how to set these up. So the courtesy notices we get courtesy notices now. If you ever see that you get an email like, hey, there's stuff coming due, or you overdue, they're very similar to what we have to now. What we have described here, there is ample, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. The system can definitely send that many notices. So there's nothing here that, I don't think there's anything here that we've proposed that the system cannot handle. Or that it doesn't already do for another library somewhere.
All right.
The one, Washington and Normal, the two that I mentioned at the top, they are both in the same system. Peoria Heights is fine free and have been for several years. They're in the same system. So we wouldn't be blazing any trails as far as the system staff go getting there. We would just need their help setting it up.
Does Peoria have it
Peoria,
in motion right now? Does Peoria have it?
Peoria Public is currently not fine free. I don't necessarily know that I would have their blessing to discuss anything I know publicly.
Sure. Okay.
So I can say I've had discussions, but I don't feel comfortable discussing their plans in a
Understood.
public forum.
Well, I think this is going to be the new norm, and I like appreciate everybody's input. I also follow suit and think would be extremely, I hope this goes in that favor next month. Are we voting next month then?
My hope and my goal, if everyone is welcome to seeing a policy for next month, is to be able to bring it to you then, as far as an official policy, and then to kind of follow that schedule there, barring other things that may pop up between now and then. We'll do our best to get it done on that timeline. And so, I mean, currently right now, because of the way we're quarantining items and things like that, when we do go to check in items, everything is currently being checked in fine free. I don't think we could necessarily be charging fines when we don't know exactly when, people are returning and then we're setting it aside. That would not be fair at all. But as far as that timeline that was discussed there, we're going to do our best to stick with that timeline at this point. Knowing that I'm sure you would all give me grace should other emergencies pop up. So that would be my hope, is I would have a new fine policy to bring to you next month, knowing that it would override, and it may have a disclaimer in it just saying until all the separate circulation policies can be addressed, that one would override notes of fines in individual policies. Does that sound like something I can do, Ron? That sounds very legalese.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, I like it.
Are all the books in? Has everything been returned that was out still, or is there a small percentage still of non-returned items?
I would feel confident that there probably are some that have not been returned yet. However, we're getting to the point where they're going to start going, if we haven't passed that point already, going to bill. because June 30th was the last due date.
Oh.
So I did not get revised numbers before the board meeting last month. I think I reported that about 7,000 of the 10,000 had been returned. Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
About
Yeah.
7,000 items returned so far. So I'm sure we've had more since then. I know the first couple of days we were open, I saw lots of big bags coming in and emptying them out. But I'm sure there's some things that we haven't seen yet. And there might be some things that we never see again in that case. That is kind of how it rolls sometimes. So especially when you put long absences in there, you know, it's much easier for
Right.
people to misplace things over the course of 4 months than it is 3 weeks. So we will deal with those things as they come along.
Okay. Okay, well, we will look forward to it. If it happens, we'll look forward to it next month. And I guess if nobody has any questions, we'll move along to the action items. And first action item is ACT 2020-0701, the maintenance levy 20-307. And we need a motion.
I'll make the
So
motion.
moved.
All right.
I'll second it.
Okay. All right. Okay, discussion?
So this is our annual maintenance levy. There's a specific levy for the maintenance and upkeep of our physical plant, our facility here. Monies collected from that levy can only be used for those purposes. So I hope you approve it.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? Okay. Well, we need a roll call vote, please, Tammy.
Sorry. Mr.
Okay.
Sherwood,
Yes.
Mr.
Aye.
Gross,
Aye.
Mr. Cadwallader,
Aye.
Mrs. Cole,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanks,
Aye.
and Mrs. Humphrey.
Aye.
All right. All ayes and no nays, so the motion has carried. And we'll move along to the action item 2020-0702, review of previously closed minutes. And we need a motion.
So moved.
Ron,
I'll second it.
second?
I will,
Okay. Gary?
since I'm not muted.
Okay.
Hold on a second. I bet you can hear that beeping. Just a second. Okay, the beeping has subsided. So twice a year, you're required to review the previously closed minutes and determine if they remain closed. Most of these things have to do with real estate or the director's review, construction project stuff, director interviews, that kind of thing. We do have the binder of closed minutes available here at the library, which I guess doesn't really help in this purpose. So that being said, I don't know if we've had very many closed meeting minutes since the last one, as there was no review in May. Can you think of anything, Tammy?
Nope.
Okay.
I could go grab it and look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to double check to see if there were any in the past 6 months that we added? I would guess that the newest ones would be the ones that you would keep closed the most, but I don't know. Is there, I would say if the board ever wanted to open those minutes, that you should probably have Phil review them first to make sure that there's anything that needs to be redacted. In the past, the board has, I don't think the board has ever opened any of the closed minutes.
I don't think so. Not that I can recall.
Tammy has the longest institutional memory, so.
We've never opened them.
No.
We had
And-
executive sessions in August, and then it appears 3 in September, 1 on the 16th and 2 on the 30th. We rolled out of one and then went into another one.
Okay. And those would have been still voted to be closed in the winter then. So,
In December, yeah.
yeah,
That was the last time we did it, yeah. Yeah, that was it.
okay.
Well, it's been darn close to a year, so. Okay, Tammy, we'll need a roll call vote on that.
Mr. Sherwood,
Aye?
Mr. Gross,
Aye.
Mr. Cadwallader,
Aye.
Mrs. Cole, Mrs. Cole,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanks,
Hi.
and Mrs. Humphrey.
Aye.
All right, sounds like all ayes and no nays, so the motion has carried. And the final action item is action item 2020-0703, needlepoint bipolar ionization installation proposal. And need a motion for that?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Was that Ellen?
That was, yes.
Okay, thank you.
As I had discussed earlier last month, we had, in reviewing various recommendations about keeping a healthy and clean environment here at the library, particularly when it comes to air and HVAC, I had asked NTEC to look at a list of recommendations and see what kind of things could be applied to our system. Many of the basic recommendations that came out, like, well, you should open your windows more, aren't going to work. Our windows don't open. If our windows are open, we have windows to replace. So some of them were going to have pretty adverse effects on our humidity, which also isn't a good thing, and things like that. So NTEC did bring this to me, and I don't claim to be a scientist, so I included all this. Gary is, but I included all the literature that they provided to us about as far as needlepoint bipolar ionization. These are units that could be installed on our existing HVAC units on the roof, is my understanding, that deal with the particulates in the air, as well as a process that kills viruses, mold spores, and bacteria. By doing so, I'm guessing it also helps control odors, which in general, I'd like to think the library smells pretty clean, but sometimes we do have odors that could be neutralized. And also that because I believe it reduces the amount of outdoor air that you're having to suck in, it consumes less energy. So they provided the estimate as far, and they know how much energy we use now, right? They are HVAC people. They estimated it would save about $2,000 a year in energy costs, in addition to the benefits of cleaning the air and reducing the viruses and particulates, etc. So I have brought that to you, and I'm interested in your questions to see if you think this is a good idea. They did estimate that the product, the item, would last about 15 years, and as I noted in my report, if our rooftop units do not last that long, and it's kind of iffy as to which would come first. These could be taken off of our existing units and installed on new units. On the phone, they let me know that the manufacturer estimates that they will last something way beyond 15 years, but they went from 15 as a conservative approach. The maintenance itself for these items would be included in our current maintenance contract. Apparently, they just need to be kind of brushed off once in a while, is what I'm told. So that would be very minimal, and it would be included in our existing maintenance contract without adding cost to that as well. What questions do you have? And I will attempt to answer them, but I told you pretty much everything I know in this. Maybe Gary might have something to speak into it. I do know that it's being looked at many schools and other shared buildings in that instance. And it's also being considered a more affordable and energy friendly versus like UV treating the air going through your HVAC. So that's what I know about these.
I don't have any questions.
Gary?
Well, I don't have any
Oh, go ahead,
questions,
John.
but my thought would be if it's going to help purify the air and get rid of some of these particulate issues we have with COVID and everything floating around now, and we're going to save $2,000 a year, this thing's going to pay for itself, then energy savings in 7 years.
Correct.
And we're going to, if we get 15 out of it, then we're going to come out ahead. So I think it's probably a pretty decent investment at this point. I don't know what everybody else's thoughts are, but.
So they base the energy savings on quote regular energy usage. So that's assuming like what our normal looks like. That being said, I don't necessarily know that our energy usage is tons down when it's not normal. We still have to keep the HVAC on at a pretty consistent level. If you remember correctly, I turned our HVAC down a little bit when we were closed, and then we messed it up and had that little leak. So we do keep it at a consistent level now. So I in combination to be able to look 3 years from now and say which of that energy savings came from this. We've also implemented LED lights at a very similar time. So we'll see a lot of energy savings, but I don't necessarily know that I would be able to pinpoint which of those energy savings came from which, unless in the HVAC control systems, there's reports in there that talks about energy usage. My energy savings usually comes from our bill. That's how I compare. But I don't know if there's reports in there. But presumably, I have to trust that they are correct in their energy savings estimates.
I mean, it sounds like, the only way you'd save energy is by having less outside air coming in. It's not like they're going to cut back on how much outside, makeup air you have coming in.
That does
How
seem
else would you save energy by plugging in another electronic device?
Right. Before then, one of the things I have to with ours is because we just kind of the workload units on it, because they wouldn't be things right.
And the only AC power.
Right, so maybe we positive earnings. I guess most to ask them. I unless I specifically asked by or something, I wouldn't very not I would something that I didn't necessarily agree with. I explained to me as far as how I would say but that really I didn't remember see how the people also living say also that and what they're saying but also the reason always so yeah that's the they can use it to the year and yeah so I think positive I think the use of your funds is a positive way to measure it being more so I felt like the turnaround time on it as far as return on investment was really a positive one, that it wasn't something that you were going to take 15 years to pay it.
Yeah.
It would count for itself in half the time that's even expected to last. And I got the impression that they are not terribly hard to install as far as what effect is it going to have on our HVAC and things like that. So those are my thoughts. I'm in favor of it, but I'm not also a voting person, so a voting member.
No, we appreciate your thoughts.
Yes. Gina, was this type of program available when we in the very beginning when we had the units installed? And they just maybe this is relatively new, because I would have thought that they would have gave us an option to have this in addition to our regular units. Didn't know if that's a fairly new thing since we built the library.
I can't say for sure. When I looked at the website of the company and I looked at some of their like case studies, like the Boston Children's Hospital and things like that, most of their bigger examples if we're from like 2015, 2016 and beyond. So while that technology may have been there when we built, maybe it was still a little too cutting edge. I can't say for sure. That's me hypothesizing. So I was not part of the original HVAC discussions. I'm sorry. I did get the impression that there's a lot of if there's different types of these units. With our current HVAC units upstairs, we would require the bar version of this. If you looked at the different types, there were some, and those are the kind that go on these larger units, and that they anticipate that if you were to approve it tonight, that they could probably have it completed within a month. That being said, I do know he said he was writing, and I don't say this to put any sort of pressure or anything like that, but they're getting a lot of interest in this. And so I don't necessarily know if I came back next month, if they could still have that same turnaround time, because I don't necessarily know how stock or manufacturers or any of that goes, particularly with opening of the schools and all that good stuff. And I don't bring that up to be like a pressure point. I just want you to be aware that I don't necessarily know if I come back next month, if they'll say, sure, we can do that within a month, next month. If that makes sense.
Does that change anybody's mind about voting on it tonight?
I would rather vote on it tonight, but if we can table it if the majority would. It's up to what everybody else thinks. I would like to do it tonight. I think, like Colleen said, I think we should do it tonight and get things in the works. I think there's enough information presented to us to do it, but that's just me.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to be perfectly honest, go back and read those 10 pages that NTEC sent us.
If everybody else is comfortable with it, I'm fine with it. If you guys want to vote tonight.
Well, Gary, Ellen, Marilyn, what are you thinking?
I'm okay with it tonight. I think, as she suggested, it's possible it would take a little longer to possibly get it installed. Plus, if we're doing this kind of primarily because of a COVID situation, then the sooner we get it in, the better, because you would think months down the road, maybe it wouldn't be as critical as it probably is right now. And if we start to open the library to a little more patronage and time, it's probably better to be done sooner than later.
Good point.
And the expected savings are quite monumental. I mean, little by little, we'll nip it away. And I think overall, the cost savings will be totally worth it when you look at when you weigh all the options. So, well, we can sure do a roll call vote.
Anybody got anything else more to say? Then I say we vote on it.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and do that. Tammy?
Hello. Mr. Sherwood,
Aye.
Mr. Gross,
Aye.
Mr. Cadwallader,
Aye.
Mrs. Cole,
Aye.
Mrs. Hanks, and Mrs. Humphrey.
Aye.
Well, it sounds like all ayes and no nays. So looks like we're the future proud owners of a ionization program.
That was excellent, Alan.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I hope to shine sometime. A little bit anyway.
They could have renamed this to something besides bipolar, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Point bipolar.
That's
Well, as long
good
as-
too, Alan.
Yeah, it could have been. Maybe there will be a new name eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got to be somewhere at 7, so I'm going to jump off if we're done with all the voting. Is that all right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, great. Thanks, guys.
See you later, Ron.
Bye, Ron. Thank
Bye.
you.
Yeah.
I will contact NTIC by email tonight before I leave. I'm going to actually take the day off tomorrow. Ooh. Ooh.
Good for you.
I get to go to the dentist. Come on. I mean,
Oh, bummer.
Oh,
What, to your
I'm
husband?
taking the day off too.
exactly. Exactly.
birthday.
Exactly, Colleen.
Well, you're
think
laughing now.
You think you feel like you're judged at the dentist, and then you got to go home and live with it all the time too, man. But I will send NTech an email tonight and sign off on that so that we can get the ball rolling and get it installed as soon as possible.
Very good. Does anybody have any closing comments before we adjourn till August 27th?
No, August 31st.
Oh, it is. Oh, it's August 31st. Okay.
Yep.
At
And it's
5:45.
at 5:45.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, I apologize again.
And it's very possible we'll be in the building, possibly.
Maybe. So next month, August 31st is the 5th Monday of the month. So a reminder that our meetings are on the last Monday of the month, not the 4th, but the last. And as it is a 5th Monday, we were able to book both of the meeting rooms over in shared space because there's not a planning commission meeting on one side. Public health be willing and things like that, closure. We should be able to meet over there, and we'll spread out nice and wide in both of those rooms over in the shared space.
Great.
Anybody have any other questions, comments, or otherwise?
I think I heard Gary say that tomorrow was his birthday.
Yep, tomorrow's my birthday.
Happy birthday,
You what?
Gary.
Happy birthday!
Thank
Oh.
you. Thank you very much.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Very good.
Thank
I hope it's a good
you.
one and that there's like good food and treats. Treats. It's a birthday. There's got to be treats.
Treats.
He looks unsure.
Don't overdo it.
I'll try not to.
And Gary, I will probably call you on Wednesday as far as when you would like to come review.
Okay. Mhm.
And Alan and Colleen, we will need you to sign the maintenance levy, and we can do that in whatever fashion is most convenient for you. So I will
No problem.
contact you on Wednesday probably, if that's okay.
Let's say if somebody's out
Sure.
tomorrow and wants to stop by, I'm here.
Yeah, if you're out and about.
Oh,
you want
Okay.
we
to
could
the
even do it
drive-through?
tomorrow. Okay.
Pardon?
Does
Yeah,
that
if you want to,
include-
just give me a call or a text that you're on your way. I can meet you at the drive-through.
Oh, I got granddaughters tomorrow. But Tammy,
Fun.
when I hang up here, I'm going to send you a picture of my new puppy.
Oh, definitely
Oh, no.
do. I'll send you a picture of my new grand dog.
A grand dog.
Yes, my daughter got a new puppy. She got
Wow.
Wilma to go along with Fred.
Oh,
That's cute. Barney and Rebel, or Barney and what was
Betty?
her name?
Betty.
Betty are to follow.
Betty.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Are they
Well-
ankle biters?
No, Freddie's
Oh,
110
mine-
pounds.
Oh,
And-
mine
That's a
is
dog.
3 months old, and she's a total ankle biter.
And Wilma will be a big girl too.
Wow.
I got a
110
West,
pounds?
Yep.
I got a West Highland White Terrier, so she's
Oh.
just a real sassy, lovable, playful dog right now. And my 3-year-old granddaughter said to me, "Grandma, why'd you get a bitey dog?"
All puppies are bitey.
Yeah, that's what I told her. It's not gonna always be like that.
No,
These are closing comments?
I know.
Yes, these are
I
close.
see
All right,
we're recording
sorry, Gary.
still.
We're still recording.
Sorry, Gary.
Okay.
Sorry, Gary.
That's fine.
Well, I guess we
Sorry,
can
public.
close
Sorry, public.
the meeting and keep talking.
Yes.
Once it's not
Okay.
about library business.
All right. All
All
right.
Who's
right.
gonna move?
Good move. Good meeting.
All right. It was very good.
Would you like to make a motion to
I'll
adjourn?
make
your
a motion.
Need a motion?
Gary did.
And then we
Second.
need a second
Colleen second.
and roll call.
Good night, everybody.
Oh, no, roll call vote, please.
Wait, don't go yet.
Oh.
Okay.
Mr.
okay.
Sherwood,
Yes.
Mr. Gross.
Yes.
Oh, Mrs. Cole,
Yes.
Mrs. Hanks,
Yes.
and Mrs. Humphrey.
Yes.
All right. That's
Thank
official. We are done for the night.
Okay.
Thank you,
well,
everybody.
I'll talk to all you guys